The Livewell system on your new center console is one of the most common failure points marine surveyors find the moment they actually get behind the panel and start pulling hoses off fittings instead of just admiring the gel coat. Not a rumor, not a forum theory. This is something they run into constantly on boats people just signed paperwork on. Some of these failures just kill bait slowly, one degraded connection at a time. One of them can sink the boat. And it's sitting behind a hatch almost nobody opens before they sign the paperwork, because the Livewell is the one system every buyer assumes just works. Here's what most people miss. A Livewell isn't just a tank and a pump. It's a chain of decisions made months before you ever step aboard. Decisions about hose routing, pump sizing, timer logic, and fitting hardware. Every weak link in that chain either keeps your catch alive or kills it slowly enough that you blame the weather, the heat, or bad luck instead of the rigging underneath your feet. We're counting down 6 of the most common Livewell rigging mistakes today, from bad to catastrophic. By the end, you'll know exactly what's hiding behind your own console, including the one that isn't really about bait at all, and the one that should change how you inspect any boat before you buy it. Hit that subscribe button, because every week we pull apart what's actually hiding behind the gel coat on the boats anglers are buying. Number 6. This one doesn't look like a mistake. That's exactly the problem. Livewell systems specialists point to something buyers never think to check. Tight, 90-degree turns in the hose run between the pump and the tank alter the flow rate. Same rated pump, same gallons per hour sticker printed on the box, less actual water reaching your bait once it's routed through a maze of bends to fit inside a cramped console. For offshore use, you're typically looking for somewhere in the 2,500 to 4,500 gallons per hour range, depending on tank size, and a poorly routed hose run can rob you of a significant chunk of that before a drop of water ever reaches your bait. The pump isn't failing here. The path is. It's not dramatic enough to show up in a brochure, and not obvious enough to catch on a sea trial, because the pump still runs, the water still flows, everything looks normal from where you're standing at the helm. You only notice it 3 hours into a hot afternoon, when your bait's stacking up in the corner of the well instead of swimming naturally, and by then you're blaming the water temperature instead of the plumbing that starved it of flow from day one. Trace the hose from pump to tank before you sign anything. Every sharp bend is water your bait isn't getting, and on a lot of boats, that hose run was never designed with flow in mind at all, just with fitting the tank into whatever space was left over. Number 5. This one sounds backwards, and it is. Recirculating systems live or die by their control logic, and a lot of factory defaults get it wrong on purpose. Some factory timers labeled maximum are actually tuned for minimal aeration because they're optimized to save battery draw during long days at anchor, not to maximize oxygen for whatever you just caught. Owners who switch to manual continuous operation report noticeably better survival than leaving the factory program running exactly as delivered. The boat is working exactly as designed. Your catch still suffers, because the design prioritized power management over oxygen, and nobody at the factory was thinking about a 100-degree Livewell on the back deck in August. Nobody tells you this at the dealership because it isn't a defect in the legal sense, it's a setting. You find out the first time you lose a fish that should have easily made it through the day, and you start wondering why the same Livewell kept baits alive fine last spring, but can't handle a summer tournament. Number 4. Builders sell you a fast boat and rig it for a slow one. Standard Livewell pumps aren't engineered for the water pressure a high-speed pickup scoop generates once you're up on plane and running 35 or 40 knots to the grounds. The faster the hull, the more pressure hits that intake, and a pump that isn't rated for it either restricts flow or fails outright somewhere offshore, far from a dealer who can fix it. This is a problem you'll find on boats across the price spectrum: Regulators, Contenders, SeaVees, because the mismatch between hull capability and Livewell pump spec isn't brand specific. It's an industry-wide gap. So you end up with a genuinely capable hull, the kind that gets you to the fish first, paired with a Livewell system built for a boat doing half the speed. The mismatch is baked in before the boat ever leaves the factory floor, hidden behind two specs that look identical on paper: hull top speed and pump flow rate, sold as if they have nothing to do with each other. Check the pump's pressure rating against your top end, not just its gallons per hour number. A pump that performs perfectly at the dock can behave completely differently once your hull is doing what it was built to do. Number 3. This next one is so common, the industry built an entire premium category just to fix it. Standard transom-mounted pumps lose their prime and airlock. Not occasionally. Routinely, on boat after boat, which is exactly why the sea chest, a submerged pump box mounted below the waterline, became the standard fix for anyone serious about keeping bait alive through a full day offshore. Brands like Hooker Electric and Best Marine build purpose-designed sea chest systems specifically for this application, and they're what you'll find on higher-end builds from builders like Yellowfin and Jupiter once the factory actually gets the Livewell right. One owner who made the switch put it bluntly: before the sea chest, he'd burned through pump after pump and lost bait to airlocks on a regular basis. Expensive replacements that never solved the underlying problem. After, the sea chest kept the well pressurized, and a vent purged bubbles before they became a problem at all, turning a recurring failure into a non-issue. If your boat runs a standard transom pump instead of a submerged sea chest system, you're running the version of this technology the industry itself considers failure-prone, the version premium builders spend real money to move away from. That's not an opinion. That's why the alternative exists, why it costs more, and why the anglers who fish hardest tend to be the ones who eventually upgrade to it. If you're seeing the pattern here, that the system sold to protect your catch is often the exact thing putting it at risk, hit that like button. It helps this reach anglers who actually care what's happening below the waterline, not just what's printed on the spec sheet. Number 2. Now we're past bait mortality. This one's about the boat itself. Some installers take a shortcut, threading a through-hull fitting directly into an inline ball valve instead of a proper seacock. These two parts were never engineered to interface. The through-hull uses straight threads, the ball valve uses tapered threads, and the joint that results is weak at best, nothing close to a real seacock built for the job. This comes up whether the fittings are Marilon composite or bronze. The material debate is real and worth having, but it's secondary to the structural problem of mismatched thread forms in a below-waterline assembly. A proper seacock is flanged, rated, and loads the hull through a solid backing plate, spreading force across a wide area instead of concentrating it on a single mismatched thread. A through hull bolted to a ball valve skips every part of that engineering. It looks finished. It holds water at the dock, sitting calm in a marina slip. It's still not built to the standard that exists specifically to stop water from getting into your boat below the waterline, under load, in a seaway, which is the only condition that actually matters. Number 1. This is the reason marine surveyors don't sleep easy on new boats. ABYC H-27, the standard governing through-hull fittings, requires seacock assemblies to survive 227 kilograms of static force applied for 30 seconds without failing to stop water ingress. ISO 9093, Part 2, sets a comparable international bar. That's not a suggestion buried in a technical appendix. That's the bar every below-waterline fitting on your boat is supposed to clear before anyone calls it seaworthy, and those two standards together represent the full regulatory framework your builder is either meeting or quietly sidestepping. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Marine surveyor Steve D'Antonio has documented Livewell pumps mounted directly on top of seacocks, and he's clear this isn't a fringe DIY mistake made by weekend owners in a garage. He says he routinely finds this violation on new, otherwise well-built boats, installed by professionals and by builders with strong reputations who genuinely believe they're fully ABYC compliant. The NMMA certification on the builder's wall doesn't automatically mean every fitting behind the panel was installed to the standard it's certified against. Add the weight and leverage of a plastic pump body sitting on top of that seacock, and the assembly becomes even less likely to survive the load test it's required to pass. This is the failure point that turns a Livewell problem into a flooding problem, and it's sitting inside boats that look completely normal from the deck, wired clean, gel coat shining, no visible reason for anyone to suspect what's underneath. If you made it this far, you've learned something most anglers never will. The Livewell built to protect your catch can be rigged in a way that guarantees the exact opposite. And 5 of these 6 failures hide behind a hatch that almost nobody opens before buying, let alone before every trip. Smash that like button if this changed how you look at the system keeping your bait alive. Drop a comment and tell me which one surprised you most. The plumbing bend nobody checks, or the seacock that can't pass its own safety test. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and ring the bell so you never miss what's hiding behind the next console we open up. Sometimes the boat that protects your catch the best isn't the one with the biggest Livewell on the spec sheet. It's the one where somebody actually rigged it to survive the water it's sitting in.